And first at 11, a dumping of snow, thrilling skiers and shops on Mount Hood, while the metro area waits for another chance of winter weather tonight. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dan Haggerty.
And I'm Laurel Porter. We have weather team coverage for you tonight, starting with Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino. Matt, it's wet, windy, stormy out there. What are the chances it gets snowy by morning?
Yeah, Laurel, that is the big question, of course. Let me explain the situation to you, and then we'll get to the answer to your question. We've got some very heavy rain just now edging into the downtown core. It's been raining really hard out in Columbia County, Clatsop County, and we're seeing the snow levels drop in the Coast Range, which in and of itself is not unusual. We would expect that to happen even if we don't get any valley snow. But it is the process of this really heavy rain hanging up over the Portland area, then having cold air kind of slide in above it to help to lower the snow level down to the sea level. Now, that has happened in the past. So I'll show that to you coming up a little bit later on. But right now, you can see the core of this heavy rain sets up right over Portland, down to about Newport, up towards Mount St. Helens. So that's the situation that we're looking at. Some of the models are saying no snow, and they don't really handle the situation all that well. But our high-resolution model that we run here is now painting about 2 inches in the West Hills and even an inch downtown. 5 inches up in Battleground and Woodland. So again, there is still that chance, although I think this is not the most likely scenario for us. Even down the valley by later in the day, Corvallis, by this model, saying about 1.7 inches of snow. So here's what I think will happen. We'll break it down this way by scenario. Best case scenario, it's just a cold, heavy rain all night long and in the morning, which in and of itself could cause a problem for the morning commute. There will be ponding of water on roadways, around storm drains and the like. So that'll slow things down even if there's absolutely no snow. The worst case scenario is that we get this process of dynamic cooling underway. And if you want to learn more about that, go to my Facebook page. But that could lead to 2 to 4 inches of heavy wet snow in the valley floor. I think the most likely scenario, however, is that we get a mix of rain and snow, briefly mixed with snow, but most likely just heavy rain for us. So again, that's what it's looking like right now. We are still under a winter storm watch for that possibility of that snow situation in the morning. Back to you.
All right, Matt, sounds good. We'll check back in with you a little later. We also checked in tonight with people living in some higher elevations in Happy Valley.
Several say they got nearly 4 inches of snow over the weekend, so they're preparing for more overnight.
Well, it depends. I mean, some places it sticks, some places it doesn't. So where I live, it does stick. So I am a little bit worried.
A little bit worried. You know, we live in the hill, and Happy Valley can be a little bit tricky with the snow.
Don't worry about it. I grew up in Lynn, so I'm in Boston, so it's no big deal to me.
Yes, I would like more snow.
As you heard, there are mixed feelings about more snow. The last girl there you heard from, she spent the weekend building a snowman with her brother, so she's kind of disappointed the rain we're seeing now isn't snow. But even if it keeps raining, we could see trouble. As Matt was talking about, PBOT says there's potential for minor street flooding from the heavy rainfall and from Johnson Creek overnight through tomorrow morning. If you're worried about flooding in your area, there are several places you can pick up sandbags. We've posted more information on KGW.com.
Dangerous driving conditions remain in the gorge tonight. ODOT warning everyone to carry chains or traction tires if you're going to be heading out east of Troutdale. It's been snowing there pretty hard all day, and there's packed snow on much of the interstate right now. In fact, many schools in the gorge are either closed for tomorrow or have a 2-hour delay. We have a look at some of the closures for you here. You can find a full list right now on KGW.com.
Our crew shot this video of the snow falling on Mount Hood tonight, and it did not seem to let up one bit. It sure made for a pretty sight, but did make driving challenging at times. We sent KGW's Mike Benner up the mountain tonight to keep an eye on conditions.
We've had constant snowfall up here since arriving around 5 o'clock, and there was plenty of snowfall prior to that. In fact, one of the resorts up here is reporting close to 2 feet of snow in the last 24 hours. It certainly explains the current situation on Highway 26. It is snow-packed and snow-covered. Traction tires or chains are required, but it's not a huge inconvenience. We can tell you that people up here are taking this all in stride.
Gang, gang, gang.
Nightfall in Government Camp. Snow continues to fall at a pretty good clip.
It's part of the fun.
Almost too good if you ask Sean Hill, who got stranded.
I drive in these kind of conditions all the time, so I feel that I have the experience. Just a slight predicament.
A predicament for some is a welcome sight for others. Take, for instance, Betsy Valiant, who we met as she cleaned off her vehicle. By the way, this accumulated in just a matter of hours. Betsy owns Valiant Ski Shop and says this about the snowfall.
It's good for the whole mountain.
The mountain, needs snow to operate.
It sure does. Just check out this video given to us by the folks at Mount Hood Meadows. Lots of fun there. And we stopped by Ski Bowl to catch some of the action under the lights. Skiers and snowboarders having an absolute blast.
I actually got up here last night, stayed in Govey, went up for first tracks at Timberline. It was fantastic. And then came here for first tracks. It was also fantastic. It's probably the best day of my year so far.
Back in government camp, Sean Hill is finally on his way. There you go. Thanks to his new favorite news crew, he's heading home to Gresham, aware that his drive will be anything but routine.
You can't get too complacent because there could be black ice out there on the road, so you still have to just drive slow and drive within the conditions.
In addition to those treacherous driving conditions, there is an avalanche warning up here on the mountain, and it does not expire until 6 o'clock tomorrow night. So keep that in mind if you're coming this way. Reporting in government camp, I'm Mike Benner. Now back to you.
Mike, thank you. Getting his hands dirty tonight. And we're going to have more winter weather coverage for you just ahead. Our Sunrise team actually already here getting to work on the morning show for tomorrow. You can tune in starting at 4:30 for the updates on weather and any impact to traffic.
We want to get to some breaking news now of a pedestrian hit and killed in Aloha.
KGW's Lindsay Nadrich just arrived to the scene there on TV Highway and 178th Avenue. What can you tell us, Lindsay?
Yeah, well, I just spoke to deputies a few minutes ago. They have the intersection here closed at 178th and TV Highway. I'm going to step out of the way so you can take a look at the scene. I'm told the call came in just before 9 o'clock tonight. A 52-year-old Beaverton man was hit by a car here near the intersection. Deputies don't know if he was in the crosswalk or not. That's something their crash reconstruction team is working to determine. The driver was a 32-year-old man, also from Beaverton. He is still here and is cooperating with investigators. His car is sitting just a few feet from the intersection with its lights still blinking. I'm told he was driving a 2004 Jaguar. Again, he is still on scene cooperating with investigators. As passerbys were calling 911, an ambulance got here before deputies and gave the man medical attention. They took him to OHSU where he was pronounced dead. Again, investigators are still on scene investigating this crash. They expect to have this area closed for several hours. Back to you.
We're so sorry to hear it. Thank you, Lindsay. New tonight, we've learned the man arrested for murdering 2 people in Lebanon over the weekend was a former Lebanon police officer. 48-year-old Brenton Richmond was arrested Sunday near the U.S.-Mexico border. Police believe he killed Tammy Hopper and Eric Jacobs last week, then fled south. Border Patrol agents arrested him as he tried to enter Mexico. He's now being held in the San Diego County Jail. Richmond was an officer with the Lebanon Police Department until 2002 when he was involved in a SWAT team standoff after reportedly threatening to kill himself.
This video is tough to forget. I'm sure you'll recognize it right away. 16-year-old Jordan Holgerson shoved off a bridge by her friend. She fell nearly 60 feet, landed flat on her stomach in the river, and suffered some very serious injuries. Our partners at NBC sat down with her to talk about how she's doing. As for the friend accused of doing the pushing, she was back in court today. 18-year-old Taylor Smith pleaded not guilty to reckless endangerment. She could face up to a year in jail. But her trial was delayed until next month, so both sides can discuss a potential plea deal. Holgerson today had some harsh words for Smith.
I feel like it's taking way too long, and I kind of just want it to be over. Maybe Taylor wants it to be over. I don't know. I kind of think she likes all the attention, but it's definitely taking way too long and it needs to just kind of end.
Holgerson is still going to physical therapy. She also says that she deals with pain every day.
It has now been 3 days without any new cases of measles confirmed in our area, and that is good news. But health officials say they can't be sure the outbreak is over until 21 days pass without a new case. That's when doctors can be sure the virus hasn't spread to anyone else. Meantime, a new bill in Oregon would eliminate non-medical vaccine exemptions for children. Our news partners at the Oregonian report, lawmakers are working on a bill that would require Oregon kids to get vaccinated or stay out of school. It has not been filed yet. More than 15,000 kids have non-medical exemptions in Oregon. Washington state lawmakers are considering a similar bill. Oregon lawmakers tried to pass a bill like this in 2015, but it was abandoned after stiff opposition.